We must ask people loads of times a day, how are you? And usually we get the answer, I'm fine. And usually that's the answer I give, I'm fine, thanks for asking. What do we do when you are actually worried about a colleague? How do we make sure we're asking in a meaningful way that encourages them to give us a genuine answer? Do you have a plan for what you're going to do if the answer is, no, actually, I'm not okay? Here's how to make sure the question is asked in the way that you intend it. The Are You OK website gives us a great 3-point plan to know that it's the right time to ask the question. Firstly, are you ready? This means, are you in the right place to ask this question? Because sometimes you've got stuff going on, so you're not really in a place to hear someone else's worries or stress. So make sure you're in the right headspace. Make sure that you've got time. So if they actually give you an answer, no, I'm not okay, you can't be like, oh, well, that's a shame, but I've got to dash off now. So make sure that you actually have the time and make sure you're willing to listen. Secondly, are you prepared? That means, are you prepared for what you're going to do if they answer no? I'm not okay. Are you prepared to accept that actually they might not want to talk to you right then and there, and that's okay? And are you prepared to understand that you're probably not going to be able to fix their problem? You might just be able to listen, and that is a really important role. So do you know the limitations of what you're going to be able to do? And finally, is now a good time? This means, do you have time to ask this question now? Is there an appropriate place that you're asking this question that is going to be reasonable to have a conversation? Is there somewhere quiet? Also, is it a good time for them? Are you catching them at an opportunity where they might have the time and space to talk? Once all of these are in place, so you're ready, you're prepared, and it is a good time, that's when you can ask the question. It's time to ask. When you're asking, make sure that you're asking an open question. So rather than saying, is everything okay? Something like, what's been happening or how's it going is a good way to start. Consider adding something specific just to show that you're concerned. I've noticed that you seem a bit quieter than usual today. How are things? And it's totally okay if they don't want to talk. You can just say that you've been a bit worried about them and that you're here if they want to chat anytime. They can give you a call or just ask. And if they do want to talk, your role is to listen. Don't rush them, let them talk in their own time. Don't try and hurry them on. And don't judge. You're supposed to be listening with an open mind. Acknowledging that sounds really difficult and it must be really difficult for them can be really helpful and validating. To be able to reflect back at them, you can ask them a question in response. That must be really difficult. How do you feel about that? And you can repeat back to them to show that you've listened and that you understand what they've been saying. Next, encourage action. You're not going to be telling them what to do, but you're trying to encourage some positive action from the conversation. So asking how have you dealt with this sort of thing in the past might be helpful because it might help them reflect on times when the similar things happened to them. They might be able to think about actions they took then that they found useful. Asking, how would you like me to support you best, can be a good way of trying to find out what they need. You might also say, what do you think you could do for yourself right now? Or where do we go from here? And if you've got some insight, you can add some reflection yourself. I was in a similar situation recently and I found this very helpful. It might be worth you giving it a try. And remember, if this is something that is beyond your abilities, which it may be because you're not a trained counsellor, then encourage them to see an appropriate healthcare professional. And finally, check in. Set a reminder for yourself to check in with them again in a couple of weeks. And when that time comes round, just check in with them. I've been thinking about you and about our conversation, and I just wanted to check in to see how things were going. You can ask, have they found a way to manage the situation? And remember, you're not judging them if they haven't, you're just asking how things are going. And make sure you stay in touch and leave the channels open for them to contact you. And as a bonus tip, even though this is about helping someone else and listening and supporting your friend or colleague, make sure that you're looking after yourself too. If you enjoyed this, then check out some of the resources that I've linked to below the video, and that includes the Are You OK website.